I know that there's a ton of football to talk about, plus a ton of crazy-ass trades today. But just to get this out of the way and to piss off the YouTube chat, I know the Dodgers won last Saturday night, but was that not one of the greatest Game 7s you ever seen in your life? Maybe the best baseball game you ever seen in your life.
Can't really argue against it. It had everything, man. Like that series. Talked about it going into it. The series already had everything. Like the drama that was involved. God, that Game 7, if you weren't hanging on every pitch, and I don't know if we're going to have this conversation today, Derek, and I don't know if it's really right to have the conversation, but I do think it's interesting that Game 7, and I know that's different circumstances, and you can't just look at these two things and say that these two are equal and we should be judging them on an equal scale. But the fact that baseball's Game 7 had 10 million more viewers on average than the NBA Finals Game 7, I think that's pretty interesting. I don't know what to make of that. I'm not ready to say baseball's kind of leapfrog basketball as the number 2 sport in America behind the NFL, but I do think that baseball has taken a turn for the better, and unfortunately the Dodgers are at the forefront of that.
I would say the reason for that was the Dodgers were in a Game 7, and not to mention the fact that Toronto was in a Game 7, and that I don't know how you tally the ratings when it comes to that, but I have to believe that factors in to a whole country watching a sporting event. So I would say if you're comparing it to Game 7 of the NBA Finals, let's be real, it was OKC versus the Pacers. Not really the most thrilling of matchups, even though it was a Game 7 and it was fun for sports fans. For the average Joe, not as compelling. And you have to think about the markets. Plus, it was a Saturday night. People were probably out and about watching. Either you were, doing Halloween stuff, or people were at bars. Again, I don't know how they calculate all that stuff when it comes to ratings. The interesting thing to me was it did outrate the Super Bowl, which is very interesting. But I think that also tells you about the fact of the Dodgers, the global appeal of the Dodgers, not to mention the Blue Jays, the whole country watching in that regard. But as far as the game itself, I mean, I thought the Blue Jays won the game. I thought that, they got the early lead with Shohei struggling as a pitcher. And then Miguel Rojas, with his home run in the bottom of the 9th, not to mention the catch in left field by, who's it, Pages?
Pages, yeah. That's when I knew it was over. That's when I knew that's the baseball gods are on the Dodgers side. Like, that was supposed to be the game winner. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Ernie Clement, the guy who's been, I think he picked up more hits in the World Series than anyone in the history of the game. The fact that one didn't fall, and they just put in Pages as an emergency center fielder. Like, I did not think the Blue Jays were going to win after that. I thought they had no chance.
Yeah, and then Will Smith gets the home run, and then in the 11th inning, and the fact that game went to extras, it honestly was reminiscent of the Warriors winning that Game 7 against the Houston Rockets, where at first you're like, they're not playing well. And this was like in 2018, and then the Rockets would go on to lose, or they lost the game ultimately, but they would miss on 27 straight 3-pointers.
Yeah,
this felt like there's so many Warriors playoff games where I've watched them, like, they're getting outplayed here. I don't know if they could win this. And Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green just fucking took the heart out of you. Even though, like, maybe that team was more deserving, you just saw that the other team had such more talent.
Right.
And the guy, have you seen the clip of the guy, Caleb Johnson, who was a reporter for the Blue Jays, saying, like, this may sound biased, but I don't give a shit. Yeah. I thought the better team didn't win tonight. And I get it. He's upset and he covers the team. I thought that was a little much. And that's how I felt when the Warriors lost in 7 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, because Draymond got suspended. But in the end, it was 7 games to determine winner, and that was more than fair. So I thought that was a little fanboy of him, but I get it. We were all rooting for the Blue Jays. Everybody that's not a Dodger fan was rooting for the Blue Jays. Would have been fun to see them win their first championship since 1993. But it just shows that the Dodgers are that talented, and I don't know if it's going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, maybe not. Who knows? Baseball. And then this interview after the game happened with Kike Hernandez.
Project to get an A, but I got an A, and here we are, back-to-back champs, David.
That's right, Enrique. 3-time World Series champion, back-to-back. Kike Hernandez.
Love your nipples.
It's different.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could do that when you win. Also, I thought it was, I mean, whatever. Like they won, so you can't really make fun of them too much. But I guess you can. Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, when they were in the locker room celebrating with their champagne, and they were like, "Man, I remember losing this team years ago, 2020 World Series, and if you can't beat them, join them." And I was like, "That's such a fucking horrible mentality." But sure, okay, whatever.
It is. It's lame. It's a loser mentality, is what it is. But whatever, they won. So what can we say? Yoshinobu Yamamoto, man, that was the story, though. It wasn't those two guys. Like, sure, Blake Snell did his thing, and Tyler Glasnow came in relief, but that was all about Yamamoto. I'm not going to say it's going to be equal to Bumgarner because Bumgarner did so much more. Well, not so much more, but a couple of innings more with a lot less. He literally saved the team.
Yeah.
Whereas the Dodgers, like, they are just stacked with star power. Yeah, it was frustrating, but I got to tip the cap to Yamamoto and what he did. Just unreal in that spot, in that situation. I don't think a lot of pitchers would have been just painting the black on with, 97-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Yeah. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We're coming to you on a Tuesday night. I know that I said Wednesday on our show on Saturday we'd be coming back to you, but because of the craziness of the NFL trade deadline, I figured we have to do a show tonight, and I got back in time. Probably taking Muni, Stephen. I figured it out. I think. I got off a little early today when I was going to Harmonic.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I thought Fourth and King was close enough to Chase Center. Not the case, so I had to walk a little bit, but figured it out when I went home.
Well, congrats. How's Muni?
Thank you. Well, I told you once upon a time that it's kind of scared me. It frightened me a little bit to take because I didn't know what to do, and now I'm learning. I'm growing up.
Wow. Just taking those steps towards adulthood.
Yeah, little
Congrats,
by little.
Man.
Can
I be honest? This
Sure.
32 thing. So Shohei could speak English without an interpreter.
Yeah, a lot of Giants fans are bringing this up now.
Yeah. Can I be honest? Like, this is just me. All right. I'm not saying, and I don't begrudge anyone for actually questioning this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I just feel weird questioning that. Like, what if he can't? What if he can't speak English and we're just accusing him of being able to, even though he might not be able to fluently, to where he feels comfortable speaking in a second language? I don't know. I get it. Like, I get the whole, okay, thank you guys. Just 3 words said it on Fox post-game show that make you think, but it feels strange to me to question whether somebody could speak. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah, because Giants
if you
fans are
can
hung
or
up on the
can't.
fact. Look, you could be pissed at the Dodgers. You can hate that they do this every year, and the Giants are way behind right now. But the whole thing of the gambling stuff with Ohtani, like, I'm sorry, I'm still like, do you guys not realize that Barry Bonds was also a fraud? So now you're calling out Shohei Ohtani for a gambling thing, and they did the investigation, and they didn't find anything. You want to look into Barry Bonds and all the steroids, not to mention today, or I think it was yesterday, actually, Victor Conte passed away, the CEO of Balco, who, he definitely hides, that he supplied Barry Bonds with steroids and says, I gave it to Greg Anderson. He may have given it to Barry Bonds for all I know. Please. Come on, guys. If you're going to call out Shohei Ohtani for being a bad guy, you have to acknowledge that Bonds is also a bad guy as well.
Well, I don't think they're bringing up Bonds, though. I think they're focused solely on Ohtani. So
of course they are, because you can never point the finger back at your own franchise.
You can, but like, what do you have to what do you have to preface it every single time with? I know Bonds did steroids, but blah 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 blah. Ohtani. That just can get aggravating. After
you don't
a
have to
while.
preface it. I just think it's like calling what is it? What's the terminology? Calling the kettle black.
Pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, that's it. Or it's like, okay, whatever with Ohtani. Okay, at the end of the day, he's the best baseball player out there, and I don't know. Maybe they did cover it up for him. The same thing. If you want to have these conspiracy theories, same thing with Michael Jordan. Maybe they didn't want him to be banished from basketball. So I think Giants fans are just too hung up on Ohtani. It is what it is at this point. Maybe focus on your own team. AJ Cruz.
Yeah.
And AJ Cruz, my word, man, tweeting out at me, I can't wait to celebrate this Blue Jays victory. How about you? And then foot and mouth, 3 home runs later. Oof, my friend. All-time stepped in it, I would say.
That's why I don't tweet out things anymore.
Exactly.
As you
should.
tweets against you.
All right. Enough of the Dodgers. I know fans don't want to hear about that. It was a great win. Oh, sorry, I want to see the Blue Jays win, but it was a great game, I should say. It was a great game. I enjoyed watching it, and the ending sucked for the majority of people. But bottom line is, money sometimes buys you championships. Case in point, if you go up to earlier in the chat, Joy P, who now joins us on the chat, bought that win, referring to the Dodgers. And I think there's a mentality with sports fans where the correct way to do things is to build it up through the draft. That's the right way to do things. It's weak, it's soft to go out and make trades or get free agents. And I think that's funny because I think most fan bases would love if their GMs were aggressive. And we'll tie this into the trade deadline today. But the last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl, they had to spend. They went out and gave contracts to Deion Sanders and Ken Norton Jr. So, and today we're applauding, the Indianapolis Colts and the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that go for it at the trade deadline. So I know there's the mentality that it's weak when you buy a championship. I don't think so. I think that's what the aggressive teams do in order to get championships. That's what the 49ers have been trying to do for the longest time with trading for Christian McCaffrey or Chase Young or some of these moves that didn't pan out, but they still were aggressive. The Philadelphia Eagles, make no bones about it, they won the Super Bowl last year because they were aggressive at free agency, getting Saquon Barkley. So you can look at it two different ways. You could say, I take pride in the fact that my team didn't have to resort to that. Or you could be thankful that your owner or GM are that aggressive. That's the way the Warriors have won their 4 championships. So I don't think I know that Giants fans hate the way that the Dodgers do business, but the Giants could do that. They just choose not to.
Well, I'd say that it's not just Giants fans, though. I'd say there's quite a few baseball fans who hate the way the Dodgers operate. And I would argue that there are a lot of owners who don't like the way the Dodgers operate. And that's on the owners. Like, I'd be hypocritical to say that, considering that Brian Windhorst report, or the Zach Lowe report that I'll never forget, after Brian Windhorst said it was a checkbook championship for the Warriors, and Zach Lowe said there were grumblings that other owners around the NBA are pissed off at how Joe Lacob is spending beyond the luxury tax just because he's trying to pay his homegrown players. I do wonder how many owners feel the way that baseball fans beyond Giants fans feel. Like, I wonder what it's going to look like with these negotiations with the collective bargaining agreement, because you might have some owners that, I don't know if it's as simplistic as just saying they want a salary cap, and the Players Association, the players do not want one because they have to play in 7 years of service time just to even make a paycheck. But the Dodgers, it's just a don't hate the player, hate the game situation. Major League Baseball has been corrupt for as long as I can remember. I mean, there's no salary cap. There hasn't been one. And there's no competitive balance, really. And the Dodgers took advantage of it. Just look at the Mets. The reason we hate it is because they're spending. But the Mets, look at the way they're doing it. I do think there needs to be some. The deferrals is weird. Okay, I'm sorry. The deferrals for Shohei Ohtani is strange. Like, the fact that you could pay a guy $2 million a year for the next 10 years, and then $40 million a year after that, or whatever that crazy amount is that they're going to be spending on him past 2040, like, that needs to be corrected. I don't think there's going to be much of a salary cap put on this league because the players really don't want that. And I think if, the owners are pushing for one of those, the players are going to push back on it. And that's when you might actually head towards a work stoppage. But it's a don't hate the player, hate the game situation to bring it full circle.
I hear you. But as far as deferrals, I mean, that's been going back all the way to Bobby Bonilla back in 1999?
Not to this extent, though, dude.
Dude, he's still getting paid.
I know, but it's $1 million, which is like $1 nowadays. And when you take inflation into account, like, if inflation was brought in, I mean, imagine how much they'd be paying him, from back in that time. I'm not an economist. I'm not one of those guys. I don't really know much about that. But I'm just saying, man, it's bizarre. The rules are weird that you could pay a guy 10 years after he's honored his contract. I'm sorry. It just is to me.
Yeah, I hear that. But I think the Giants could operate the same way. And I think that
they could take advantage. It's just no one seems to. And I don't know why.
because Greg Johnson doesn't want to spend a certain amount of money. So that's why they're doing the Vitello thing where they believe in him, but also they want to build up the farm system. And I get that. It's just going to be, I think, a longer process. But it's interesting to have the mentality or the different schools of thought when it comes to building up a championship team. Do you value more being aggressive or do you value staying the course? And I think that the 49ers today kind of showed that they were that team at one point where they were aggressive and trying to get big talent. And now, because they've maxed out the credit card and Jed York's like, no, I'm not paying for this anymore. You had your chances to win the Super Bowl. You haven't solidified that. So we have to go back to the drawing board. I want you guys to, get these contracts done for Brock Purdy and Fred Warner and George Kittle. But as far as making big trades, we're not doing that anymore. And so that's why I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that the 49ers didn't make a move today, but we'll get to that in a little bit. As far as the NFL trade deadline, I mean, dude, it's either nothing or incredible. And in recent years, the NFL trade deadline has become something bigger along the lines of Major League Baseball or in the NBA, where we see big trades all the time go down the NBA. Just this last January, we saw Luka Doncic, or I guess it was February, Luka Doncic get dealt to the LA Lakers. Obviously, Jimmy Butler got dealt to the Warriors. A couple years ago, we saw James Harden initially get traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Then I think like less than a year later, gets traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. So those big moves happen all the time. Same thing with baseball. Big moves happen at the trade deadline. In the NFL for years, it wasn't the case. There was a few anomalies, like there was the Herschel Walker trade that propelled the Dallas Cowboys to have a dynasty. There was the Eric Dickerson trade. You and I remember when Carson Palmer was traded for 2 first-round picks to the Raiders. So there's moments where there's huge trade deadline moves, but nothing, I think, as monumental as today. So let's just get right to it, Steven. I mean, I thought the Jalen Phillips trade was going to be the biggest thing that came down during the trade deadline, and I brought it up last Saturday where a 3rd-round pick, yeah, that's what went down for Jalen Phillips in order to get him from the Miami Dolphins to the Philadelphia Eagles. Not to mention, right after you and I signed off, they traded for Jair Alexander, and I really don't know what he brings to that team anymore. I don't know if he's that good of a corner, but if he could be your second corner and you could put Cooper DeJean as a nickel, then that helps them. But later on, Jacoby Myers finally got dealt. He went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Rashid Shaheed going to the Seattle Seahawks is huge. But I never anticipated Sauce Gardner getting dealt today for 2 first-round picks for the Indianapolis Colts, not to mention Quinnen Williams getting dealt to the Dallas Cowboys for a second next year and a first for 2027. And we all mocked Jerry Jones yesterday for doing that interview with Stephen A. Smith before the game, be like, oh, we got a big-time trade coming. It's going to be a player that's going to help us out in a department we really need help with, but I'm not going to say who it is. And then after the game they lose, they get the crap beat out of them by the Arizona Cardinals. He's like, yeah, we might have a deal in place. It's all contingent on tomorrow, not today. And you're like, well, what is it then? But come to find out, it wasn't just Logan Wilson, who they traded for today from the Cincinnati Bengals. It's Quinnen Williams. So we'll get to the other trades, but just as far as the shock of the Jets selling off big-time pieces, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, what are your thoughts?
The Jets are the only thing that made this trade deadline interesting. If the Jets weren't involved, then I don't think this would have been as fascinating of a trade deadline as we're seeing. Field Yates calling it the best trade deadline of all time, just because the Jets were on a fire sale with their stars. Yeah, I mean, the Sauce Gardner one was shocking just because no one was reporting about it. All right, I'll concede.
What?
I'll concede.
That it was a good trade deadline?
No. Ricky Scoops is a good follow.
See? Finally, Steven.
Ricky Scoops is a good follow. I was wrong. You were right. I am fat. You are in shape. You're the best. I'm the worst.
As long as you're willing to admit that.
I'm ugly and you're okay looking.
Give me more than that. I might be bald. I have good looking eyes.
Try to do the Happy Gilmore thing. No, dude, he had that. He was the only one that seemed to have that with Sauce Gardner being moved. It's just,
yeah.
But I also looked at it. I thought the Colts were the biggest winners from this day because I just think getting a guy like Sauce Gardner. I don't know how much he was flourishing in the Jets system. I don't know how bought in he was with the Jets system. Maybe he was with Aaron Glenn, but going to a Colts team now that's just absolutely stacked, like that puts them, I'm not going to say they're going to beat the Chiefs or the Bills and they're going to contend for the Super Bowl, but they really could. And Sauce Gardner obviously gives him a better chance, and he'll be able to play some, I like this word being used, with guys who just never played really in playoff football, but meaningful football. He'll be getting to play some meaningful games later on down the stretch of the season. So I thought he was like the big winner in all this. Quentin Williams thing I didn't get. I don't get the Cowboys doing it. I don't really get I understand the Jets perspective from it. But the fact that you lost Sauce Gardner already, do you really need to trade away 2 stars defensively? And I was looking up Quentin Williams.
That was
numbers.
my thought.
I was looking up Quentin Williams' numbers earlier. He's been kind of declining. He's good. And the fact that they managed to get like a first and second round pick for him, that's pretty impressive. But I don't really think the Cowboys are making moves to where I'm saying, oh, Jerry Jones, boy, he's right. Like, I think this one, I'm skeptical of it. And the Jets acquired picks. It was a good haul.
Yeah.
Also, the Jets are clearly 3 years away from being good again.
Yeah.
I'd say two at best. So that sucks to have that realization.
Yeah, but we kind of knew that going into the season, I would say. I mean, you thought more of Justin Fields than I did, but
if I had to pick like a winner out of that one, it would be the Jets with the Quentin Williams deal. But if I take both him and Sauce into account, I'd say it sucks to be a Jets fan today, knowing that your future could be bright. Letting go of those 2 guys, pretty well liked in that area too.
Well, I never liked the thought process of, okay, we suck with these good players, so let's just move them, and then we'll hope that we draft the right guys, better guys than these guys. And I'm like, you have these guys, you just didn't put the right pieces around them. And I'll say this too, I can never have the argument anymore of, well, they paid him, so they can't trade him. Like the fact that they just paid Sauce Gardner in July, and now they want to move him, I think that's kind of ass backwards business, but sure, whatever. Here's my thing with the Jets. I thought they pulled the plug way too soon. Like, you could have traded Sauce Gardner down the line. You could have traded Quentin Williams with 1 year left on his deal, I guess, next year. But you never really took the time to build this team. It was quick fixes. Yeah, you drafted Zach Wilson, and that was a bust. So you moved on to Aaron Rodgers. Okay, well, that didn't work out. So now you try to get a quick fix with Justin Fields. You never took the time to draft a quarterback. And there may not have been great options there, but you didn't really try. You didn't I go back to John Gruden with the Raiders in 2018, where it's like, let's trade away Khalil Mack and let's trade away Amari Cooper in hopes that we get better players. And you never know. But to that end, they made these moves and they're doing a whole rebuild here. And I guess they feel confident in Aaron Glenn going forward. So he's going to be their guy. And you have to believe with the bounty of picks they have, they will invest in a quarterback sometime soon. I don't know if it's going to be this upcoming draft class because, quite frankly, I don't really know who's good quarterback-wise. I guess the guy from Indiana is the guy that they're saying, but I don't really know. I haven't studied him. I haven't watched a lot of Indiana football. Yeah.
I didn't see a lot from him at Cal. I was paying attention to Cal when he was the quarterback there. And
is he actually the real deal?
Yeah, I mean, when he got that win over Stanford and seeing how much it meant to him, like, okay, you could tell this guy's passionate, but I didn't really know how good he'd truly be. I didn't think that he'd be a number 1 overall pick pending. Like, when I watched Miami versus Cal live, I thought, okay, that Cam Ward guy, this is going to be a guy who could be a top 5 pick. But with Fernando Mendoza, I never thought he could be that. It's interesting how he just all of a sudden changes systems and he starts to look like a number 1 pick. It feels like he'd have to really be in the right spot if he wants to actually, perform like one. But that's beside the point. The quarterback thing, they have stockpiled a bunch of draft picks. I don't know if they can maybe trade some to get a starting quarterback moving forward. I don't know what their plan is. Are they really just going to use all of these picks? Like, really? All of them? Or are they going to actually trade some of them away?
You would think to maybe acquire some talent, but with all the moves the Jets made today, I wonder at some point did Andrew Barry and Kevin Stefanski kind of sit around just being like, "Did we fuck up not taking that offer with the Eagles for 3 first-round picks?" Because the Jets, they totally shitted on our mentality of keeping good players and just, trying to find a quarterback down the line. But did we pass up a golden opportunity? Maybe.
Yeah.
But as far as the Colts, I mean, I thought it was aggressive as hell, and this is something that Chris Ballard usually doesn't do. I think it's a little overpay to give 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner.
It's a lot.
And I know that Jalen Ramsey went for 2 first-round picks. Sauce Gardner's good. I don't know if he's as good as Jalen Ramsey. It definitely helps.
It's all pending, right? It's all pending. Like the thing I hate, like, I don't want to do this after, like, I don't want to like just totally evaluate the trade and make some conclusion as to what that trade is going to be. If the Colts end up, what if, just a big what if, and the way that Daniel Jones looked this week, I don't know if it's going to happen if he looks the way that he did in this first game of November when he's kind of got that Derek Carr syndrome where he struggles after October.
Not gonna say that just yet, but
he does. Look at the stats. But yeah, I've watched every Daniel Jones November game since he got drafted in the NFL.
Oh
Yeah. Knew him right out of Duke. But I don't want to make any sweeping conclusions because what if the Colts end up winning a Super Bowl? Like 2 first-rounders may seem like a lot, but if they ended up winning a Super Bowl, who cares? Really, who cares? Like, it's the whole,
yeah, of course.
Like you mentioned with the Rams thing. Like, it really is fuck them picks. And if they win, well, you don't really care too much because they're going to have a Super Bowl trophy.
No, I mean, do you care that Von Miller left to go to the Bills after the fact? No, because you traded a second-round pick for him. He made a difference in that Super Bowl. But do you really believe the Colts are going to win a Super Bowl? Like when you look at the AFC, I think it's only really 2 teams that we saw this past Sunday with the Chiefs and Bills. I think the Colts are a good September, October, November team, but like, is it going to translate to the postseason? Is that offense going to translate when they have to go on the road possibly to play the Buffalo Bills? And again, I should give them the benefit of the doubt because they are the number 1 seed right now. But from what I saw on Sunday, I don't know if they're going to hold that. And yeah, like we saw limitations in Daniel Jones' game. I think when it's set up perfectly for him, it's kind of the same thing as Sam Darnold. When he has the perfect scheme, he thrives. But when there's a little, he's throwing a little more blitzes, he's a little more uncomfortable in the pocket, then he goes back to being the Danny Dimes that we saw in New York. But I think in order for the Colts to win, they realize we have to go above and beyond here. We're playing with the likes of Josh Allen, who's a game changer, Patrick Mahomes, even Lamar Jackson if he makes the postseason. Our quarterback is a good player. He's not a game changer. So we got to make sure that we are the best at every other position.
Yeah.
So let's have the best secondary possible we already have Kenny Moore. We have Charvarius Ward. We got Cam Bynum that we picked up in free agency this last year. If we get Sauce Gardner to go along with that, then can he throw on us? Probably not. And Lou Anarumo, I mean, he dialed it up back in the day. The Bengals wish I would assume that they still wish they had him, even though their defense was dreadful a year ago. But he was the reason why they made it to the Super Bowl back in 2021 because he had a perfect scheme against Patrick Mahomes that AFC Championship game. So I understand the move for Sauce Gardner today. I'm surprised that Chris Ballard did it because he's always been just, I'll throw some cash in free agency, but making big trades like this, that's not his MO. Now, the only other one I could think of was during the 2020 draft, and he traded for DeForest Buckner from the 49ers for a first-round pick. Besides that, the Colts don't make moves like that. So, I was surprised as hell when that news came down today.
Yeah. I really don't know much about Chris Ballard's past as a trading general manager, so I can't really speak to that.
Yeah.
But I trust what you're saying. So now I'm even more shocked than I was originally.
I'll say this too. We had Andrew Luck on today, and just to ask him about Chris Ballard, and he was like, I didn't even see the trades. What happened? And we're telling him, and he's all about Stanford football. So when you ask about other things, he doesn't really give an opinion sometimes. But we told him, your guy Chris Ballard traded for Sauce Gardner today. He goes, oh, well, that's cool.
So Elijah Brown's a really good quarterback.
Yeah,
he's a redshirt freshman.
Exactly.
He redshirted last year. He decided to sit it out. He wanted to give himself an extra year of ability. He's also a science major. He's a really smart guy.
Yeah, I mean, no, we talk a lot of Stanford football with him, but like sometimes I like to get away from that and just be like, so when you sat down with Gruden doing Spider 2Y Banana, how was that? He goes, oh, I loved it. I mean, that's people still walk up to me and ask me about that, and I'm like, so Gruden wants to get into college and coach in the SEC. You think it'd be good for college football? And he's just like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. With us having a head coaching vacancy next year, I don't want to talk about that.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty smart on his part. He can't
No,
do that.
I totally understand. I totally understand.
At least you had something to talk about today, though. Like
Yeah.
finally something interesting with Stanford football. Maybe
I know,
maybe too little, too late. You know, from
Well-
the start, you could tell Branson was not
Yeah.
very good. But then I guess he did have that 444-yard game against San Jose State, which ended
Oh,
up
that was
beating-
a quarterback duel, my friend.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of saved his job, but also they have to win these next 3 if they want to make the bowl games, right? Or be bowl eligible at least. So it's like they had North Carolina, then Cal, then Notre Dame. Not an
It's gonna
easy
be tough.
not an easy 3-game slate if they want to reach the bowl series. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, but Elijah Brown. That's what I want to talk about.
I do enjoy talking to Andrew Luck every week, but yeah, it's hard sometimes when he's focused primarily on Stanford. I totally understand that. It's just the team, they're growing for something bigger down the line, and this is the first stepping stone to build off of that. So, we'll see how the season finishes off. But yeah, not a ton to talk about Stanford football wise these days. As far as the other big move, Quinnen Williams, I'm with you, Steve. When I saw the Dallas Cowboys, I was disappointed because I was like, can he go to a better team? Can he go to a team that he's going to impact this season? Like if you watch them last night, they're not going anywhere. Like I love that Troy Aikman is so honest sometimes where he was like, I don't think they're one player away from competing. Like when they asked him about Jerry Jones saying that they're going to trade for a player, he's like, they're going to need a couple more players than like, I don't understand what he's thinking here. And then after they lose the game, he's like, Jerry might want to call that team that he did the trade with and cancel it because they're not going to go anywhere. And that's how I feel still. They are not a playoff team with Quinnen Williams right now. Now down the line, they could be, but I don't know. I think it definitely helps them in the long run. And I don't know, like, wouldn't you want to build up your team more with draft picks instead of just trying to go for a quick and easy answer? Because that's what you got in the Micah Parsons trade, just to immediately flip that and go for Quinnen Williams, who's a solid player, but not a Micah Parsons. Like, if you really want to stop the run and that's your whole mentality, like we got Kenny Clark, we got Quinnen Williams now to stuff the run, then yeah. But I think that's a long-term thing. So if you're asking me, does this move help the Dallas Cowboys become a wild card team this year? Absolutely not. The long haul, yeah, possibly. But I also think that Jerry Jones is equal parts, let me be smart and trade away Micah Parsons because I don't want to pay him that amount of money. And also let me flip those picks to get players that can help us right now because I'm only getting older and I want a Super Bowl, damn it. But I don't know. I don't think he knows what he wants. So I don't know. It's an interesting move. And it helps the Jets in the long run. It also may help the Cowboys, but for this season, the rest of 2025, I thought I was a little disappointed that he went to that particular team.
It's optics, man, for the Jones. Like it's more than just them wanting the Cowboys to win a Super Bowl. To me, like of course they want that, but Jerry's done his share of winning. All right, he created a dynasty, and they haven't won in 30 years.
And he'll tell you about it on the Netflix doc.
I think a lot of it is just optics. Oh, this is going to have people talking about our team again. Oh, now we'll be a contender because we got a big name here. But again, going down just from year over year, I mean, he was elite in 2023, a stud, but it's just amounting to one All-Pro not in 6 seasons. Yeah, he's reached the Pro Bowl, but what does that mean anymore? I just don't know about this one. Like I'm looking at the Sauce Gardner deal for the Colts, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm giving them much more of a chance just because they've built a stacked team around Daniel Jones. It's become even more stacked. But with the Cowboys, I don't know. Is he going to be wrecking games like he used to? I don't think so. So and then the 3-5-1. I don't know. It feels like the 7 teams right now that are in the NFC, the top 7, could fluctuate a little bit depending.
Mm-hmm.
But let me pull them up because I was looking at them as soon as the 49ers won, and I'm thinking, just based on the Cowboys season, maybe the Bears could sneak their way in, but Eagles, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Packers, Rams, 49ers, Lions. That feels like the 7 NFC teams that are going to be reaching the postseason. And the Bears right now are kind of on the outside looking in because they've won 5 of their last 6. And the Cowboys ended up losing to the Cardinals, so their standing dropped. Maybe the Vikings can improve here with J.J. McCarthy, who once again shows he's a dog in the first game and back from injury, but what's he going to do in the second game? Are we going to see a repeat at the beginning of this season? So I think this Cowboys move doesn't catapult them into the NFC playoff picture. Like I think many people just assumed that it did immediately as soon as the trade was done.
No, I think that we were prisoners of the moment. Like I still stand on the fact that Micah Parsons was the biggest trade, bigger than Quinnen Williams, bigger than Sauce Gardner. And I still think it's going to help them get to the postseason. But yeah, that move alone you're seeing right now is not enough for the Packers to be NFC, contenders. For the Cowboys, no. I like Quinnen Williams would have been better off going to, I don't know, the Lions. But then again, the Lions don't have the money to do that right now because they're paying all their guys. The Bears could have made that move too. I would have been down with that. But the fact that it was the Cowboys, I was like, ugh. Okay, so this is all for the long-term future, which I totally understand. But at the same time, I don't want hot take people being like, they got Quinnen Williams now. It's Super Bowl or bust for the Cowboys. No, it's not. No, it's not. Look at them yesterday. If you were able to watch that game, because YouTube TV is still doing this shit. But
ESPN app wasn't working either. You couldn't watch it on ESPN Plus. You had to watch it on their extra network, right?
I lucked out. I bitched enough on the Dirty Work show that A. Scott hit me up. He was like, dude, I got an Xfinity account. I'll just give you my login. I was like, okay. So I watched it on that yesterday.
Wow. Alex Scott coming in for the save.
Alex Scott coming to the rescue. So we'll get to the Niners in more detail as, they won their game against the New York Giants. But were you surprised they didn't make a move today?
Yeah, actually. I was.
Really?
Yeah. Based on the way Kyle Shanahan talked in the day after the game conference call, how this didn't change things and this created Michael Williams' injury didn't create a sense of urgency, and we're just staying the course with what we were going to do. And they've made it pretty clear that their plan was to build for 2026 and beyond and not really just winning for the right now. So I do think it says a lot, but the fact that you beat the Giants, you're still very much, like we just mentioned, in that NFC playoff picture. I'm not saying that you had to give up, a first or even a second rounder like they reportedly were going to the Jets reportedly wanted for Jermaine Johnson, and the 49ers were calling him, and they said, nah, that's too steep a price. Like, I thought they were at least going to make some other move to at least provide some depth to the roster, man. Like, I don't know what they would have done. I was surprised they didn't make some similar move that they did with Keon White, where they're just trying to find a guy who's kind of fallen out of favor with the current team, and they're just willing to trade a late round pick for him. I'm not saying this is going to change their season, but yeah, I was surprised that they didn't make some move when Michael Williams got hurt.
Yeah, but Kyle also said that that's not going to influence us on what we do.
Sure, but I'm kind of surprised that it didn't, because you're losing a guy who is improving week after week and a guy who's been playing a lot of snaps for that defensive line. I figured they would want to at least make a move to provide some depth, but yeah.
Okay, well, let me start off by talking about the game on Sunday, and we can get to that right now, where there was moves made today with the Raiders that we can relate to the game with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But as far as the game on Sunday, and by the way, Steven, you lost in picks by 1 point. So
by one?
By one. It was that close.
Jesus Christ, man.
I know. Yeah, you had to pick the over on the Cowboys-Cardinals game. Could have been that much of a difference. Could have been tied.
Stupid Jacoby.
And then we have a hot sauce off. As far as the game on Sunday, it was kind of how I expected it to be, where it wasn't a shootout by any means, but the Giants did score some points. But it was kind of reminiscent, the opening drive, to that of last week with the Texans, where the 49ers couldn't get any pass rush, and they were able to extend a drive kind of methodically and go down the field, and they score that touchdown. You think, okay, is this going to be a shootout today? And then Kyle Shanahan has the decision early on whether he's facing a 4th and 1 in his own 41. And does he go for it? Is it going to be that type of game? And I think that he realized, if we're going to win this game, I have to score points. I don't want to be down 14-0 like I was a week ago when I was down 16-0 to the Texans. So I can pick up this first down. And if we tie the game up here, then I'll make it where this defense has to catch up to us. So I thought that was a good aggressive move to go for it. And then Christian McCaffrey's wide open on that touchdown pass. They take a 14-7 lead with the touchdown pass to Juwan Jennings. But I thought this game was, as anticipated, where the 49ers were going to be able to do anything they wanted running the football against the Giants. And they are a really bad rush defense. They have really good players as far as pass rushers with Brian Burns, who's leading the league in sacks right now, Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau, not to mention Dexter Lawrence, who, for whatever reason, is getting called out by Carl Banks saying no one respects you anymore, which I thought was a little much from the radio announcer. But I thought it was Brian Daboll and the Giants not capitalizing on missed opportunities. The mentality the Niners had going into the halftime was, let's keep scoring, even though we're going to get the ball back at halftime. We have no timeouts, but let's double up by trying to score before the half and then get the ball back. And it backfires in their face, where it looked like an interception to me, but they rule it a fumble from Mac Jones, where it gets popped up in the air by Brian Burns and Abdul Carter comes down with it.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was an INT too.
I agree. Nothing showed that it wasn't an INT, but regardless, they don't capitalize on that. Nothing, a missed field goal. And then afterwards, in the third quarter, the 49ers go up 20-7, and the Giants are facing, a 4th and goal from their own 3, and they don't go for it. They kick the field goal.
Yeah.
Had they capitalized on both those opportunities and been a little more aggressive, I thought it would have been a closer game. Regardless, Niners play pretty sound on defense. They, gang tackle and play pretty good pass defense with Renardo Green and Diamador Lenore. I thought Cleveland Farrell let his presence felt right out the gate by getting a second effort sack. So, it was the same thing with the Eagles with the Giants. They just ran all over him. Christian McCaffrey did Christian McCaffrey things. Brian Robinson did great. But if you're asking me, was I thoroughly impressed with the 49ers' victory over the Giants? No. They should be able to do that because the Giants' defense is not very good, and Kyle Shanahan can scheme it up perfectly.
It's what we expected, dude. We said it we said it over the weekend. Like, the 49ers are hurt, but the Giants are hurt too, and they don't have the talent the 49ers do to make up for some of that. Like, Tatum Bethune looked like a man possessed at times.
Yeah.
I think he had a career high 16 tackles or whatever it was. And I think tackles is kind of an overblown stat. Just because you 100%
get tackles, it is.
Just because you get tackles doesn't mean you had a good game. But Tatum Bethune had a good game. The Giants do not have the talent to withstand injuries to a starting cornerback or to 2 starting cornerbacks and a starting tackle. It's what we said on Saturday. We said that the Giants were going to be vulnerable in the run defense, and the 49ers were fixing to get some redemption after that performance against the Texans. So I think they did what everyone expected. And this is one of those games. It's the same as the one where we remember the way we talked about the Raiders win over the Titans. We're just like, it's fine, but they're supposed to beat them. That's kind of how I felt with this 49ers team. Like, they were supposed to beat the Giants. If they ended up losing, I think it'd be a much different story. I think this is a situation where we'd be wondering what they're looking like beyond this season. Like, I think that's where it would have come down to, because you're missing your starting running back, your starting cornerback, and your right tackle. And a guy who wasn't even playing right tackle in the first place. Illuminor just filled in at right tackle. He was a guard to start out. And they also lost their center in the middle of the game too. So I thought the 49ers just should have won. And, does this have any bearing on the season? No. Like, I hate the comparisons. I hate this thing that we do where we go back and say, well, the Giants performed against another team this way, and the 49ers, well, they beat them, so that must mean they are better than the other team. Like, this is not geometry. There's not just biconditionals everywhere. Like, if the 49ers beat this team, then blah, 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 this team. Like, no, it's not how that works. It's just another week in the NFL. I don't know. It was a good win. The 49ers looked good. Mac Jones looked solid once again, even though he's playing on 2 bum knees. Christian McCaffrey just continues to prove people wrong week out, week in, week out. I don't know why I'm so fired up. I'm going to eat this chip.
Fair enough.
Also,
No,
I don't know if you noticed me laughing in the background when I was muted.
Oh, I did, and I got through it. I don't know if you were laughing at me, but
Sorry, no, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at skills message. Where was it? I gotta.
what did he say?
God damn it, where was it? Here it is. Right now, it feels like the 49ers could trade for Hendrickson or whoever, and they would tear their ACL while putting on their helmet.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, okay. To that point, the 49ers beat the Giants. And I know some people will be like, well, yeah, as you just said, Steven, the Giants beat the Eagles. Well, I think everybody in the NFC has one bad loss right now. Like the Packers lost to the Panthers this week, but maybe the Panthers are a better team than we anticipated. Regardless of all that, yes, the 49ers are 6-3. They're tied. That's a good glob right there. The
Good
49ers are tied for the most wins in the NFC right now with 6. But when you think about it, Steven, do they really seem to you like a contender? Like, it's hard to gauge because the 49ers truly haven't been tested a lot as far as their schedule. But, they powered through with all the injuries. They have impressive wins on the road against the Seahawks and the Rams. But if they play the Eagles or the Lions, or we saw them play the Buccaneers earlier this year, if they play the Rams again, and we'll find out this weekend, or the Seahawks, or I'll throw out even the Packers, I don't think they're beating that team or any of those teams. I think that the 49ers are a really talented team as far as their coaching staff, but their injuries are definitely are having a toll on them right now. We saw it last week against the Texans.
Yes.
So I think that Kyle and John were honest today in saying, does it really make sense for us to go out and trade a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson, a guy who tore his Achilles last year? Does it make sense for that? What are the Miami Dolphins offering for Bradley Chubb? A third-round pick? That's way too high for us. He's 29 years old. He has his own ACL tear. We'll offer you a fifth. If they said, no, we're not doing that, then I don't blame John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan for standing their ground. And also, I know that they just lost Mykel Williams, and that's unfortunate. And I'll get into my reaction to people blaming the turf on that. But just as far as you lose another player defensively, their mentality going into the season was, let's just try to win with what we have currently, and maybe we can get to the postseason, but we're building on something more for the long-term future. And I know that 49ers fans don't want to hear that because they've been wanting a Super Bowl since 1994, and they feel the window is closing. But that is their mentality right now. Right or wrong, they're writing off the credit card. They did the fuck them picks things in the back. They traded for Christian McCaffrey. They made moves at the deadline. They're not that team right now. They're not able to do that. So even though they're 6-3, they're not the same 6-3 as these other teams in the NFC right now. So I think that they're not going to pack it in. They're not going to say that the season's over by any means. They want to make the postseason, but do they really think they're going to win a Super Bowl? I think if you ask Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch behind closed doors, they'll tell you, no, we're not going to be that team this year. So why would we go all in for a trade? As Steven eats the chip. Your rebuttal, Steven.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack, Derek. Oh, this isn't good. This might not be good.
Are we talking like throw up status?
I'll be all right for now.
Okay.
I'll be okay.
So, Steven, are you with me on that, though? Like, even though the 49ers are
what was your
6-3,
question? Because you went all over the place.
I was just giving my take. Like, do you think that the 49ers can compete with the likes of the Eagles and Lions and most of the teams that we consider are good in the NFC right now?
On paper, no.
Yeah.
On paper, no. But there's something about the 49ers team, man. There's something about the way they play. I can't explain it. Coach Kyle Shanahan always has them ready. The guys been waiting for their opportunity, and they're taking advantage of it. But not having Mykel Williams significantly hurts them.
Yeah.
And I know it may not seem like much, but
Sorry, wouldn't you say that not having Nick Bosa and Fred Warner significantly hurts them as well? Like, I know that Michael Williams was playing better, but could you really see him making a difference when it's all said and done in the postseason? Because he's benefiting from not having Nick Bosa. And I know that sounds crazy, but you just get more reps. But with so much experience on this team, I just don't think it's going to translate to postseason success.
Maybe not. But I think the 49ers are telling you that with what they didn't do at the trade deadline, as you just mentioned.
Exactly.
What I was saying, I was surprised they did. This one hurt, man. I put it right on the top.
Yeah, you put a good glob on there.
Point is, I thought they were just going to make a trade just to fill up something in their roster.
Yeah,
just to fill a spot. Hey, let's give up a sixth.
Yeah,
let's give up a 6th rounder to a team that's flailing, or a 7th rounder, just so we can get an extra lineman. But I didn't think the Max Crosby thing. Can I tell you something too? I had this thought.
Sure.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Something psychologically, it's something weird. It's this tick in my brain. I don't know if anyone else feels this way. This is a problem. Okay? It's a real problem. George W. Bush. I'll do that fucking. Here's a real problem, okay? Fucking 49ers. Anytime someone posts that GIF of the camera panning across John Lynch's face.
Yeah. It's a favorite of a lot of Niners aggregators.
Yeah, anytime a Niners aggregator site posts that with any piece of news.
Go cook, Lynch.
Yeah. It makes me think they're going to make a move. It does something to me psychologically. I see that GIF. I'm like, yep. It's the same effect that Belichick binoculars one had, where it's like you'd see a draft pick who's, I don't know, a short white wide receiver who could play in the slot. And Bill Belichick with his binoculars. Ooh. I really thought the 49ers were going to make a trade just solely based on a GIF. I don't know about you.
That says a lot about you.
It does. It does. But no, man, I didn't think they were going to trade for Jermaine Johnson. I didn't think they were going to trade for Max Crosby. I didn't think they were going to trade for Trey Hendrickson. I just thought they were going to do something.
Yeah, I hear you. And the Trey Hendrickson thing, like, I guess it got close at some points today. I guess the Seahawks were in on him, but as I said, man, that organization is so batshit crazy where I'm sure there was enough teams being like, we'll give you a second, we'll give you a third, and I'm sure Duke Tobin, their de facto GM since 1999, was going to Mike Brown just being like, hey, Mike, we do have offers from teams that are significant draft picks. And he's like, nope, if it's not a first-round pick, I'm not interested. Nope, not doing it. So I think they wasted an opportunity today with Trey Hendrickson because I don't think that defense is going to improve overnight. Yeah. I know they're going to make the playoffs without Joe Burrow at this point, even though Joe Flacco has been incredible for them. That's a missed opportunity, but it wasn't a good opportunity for the 49ers. It made no sense. As Kyle Shanahan's been telling everybody, if we're going to make a trade, it's got to be for someone who's under contract for the next couple of years here. It's not going to impact us in the draft next year. That's why Keon White makes sense. But Trey Hendrickson does not make sense. I thought maybe the Lions should have gone after Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, but they're valuing more the guys that they have under contract for right now. But to that point with the NFC West, the Rashid Shaheed move is pretty significant in my opinion. And he got dealt for two picks, a 4th and a 5th. And when you watch Sunday Night Football and Sam Darnold is just throwing down the field with ease against the Commanders, and he doesn't even have Cooper Kupp out there. He's got Jackson Smith and Jigba and Torrey Horton. And even a rookie, I don't even know who the other guy was that got a touchdown pass. They got A.J. Barner right now. As far as like a 4 wide receiver set, including Cooper Kupp, they may have the best offense in the NFC West right now. I mean, I think that they have more options than the Rams do. They got, obviously, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and whoever the third guy is. But it was a Jordan Whittington or Tutu Atwell. It changes all the time. It's not consistent as far as like who the third string wide receiver is. And they got Tyler Higbee. But just as far as like more options, like deep threat options, Yeah, you got arguably the best wide receiver right now in Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then you got Rashid Shaheed, who's one of the best deep threat receivers in all of football right now. So that move, in my opinion, may put the Seahawks, over the top in that division. I think the Rams, they are still probably more inclined to be like a 13-win team or a 14-win team than the Seahawks are. But I thought that move was significant today where you and I were talking about going into the season, Rams, 49ers, looks like, they're battling out between who could be the division winner. The Seahawks now look like they could be separating themselves from the rest of the pack, in my opinion.
Sure. But God damn it. Still hurts. Roof of my mouth. Sure. But I thought the Vikings had a stacked roster going into the playoffs last year, despite their loss to the Lions, and Sam Darnold still performed the way that he did in the playoffs. I need to see more from Darnold in the postseason before I'm ready to anoint them over the Rams. If I'm looking at the NFC West.
I'm not going to say that's going to happen. I'm just saying that I think they're put in the best position to succeed with that offense. Like I said week one when they lost to the 49ers that they looked inept. Now I expect that team to, they scored, what was the final score on Sunday night? 38-14?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They could easily score in the 40s now with what they got with Rashid Shaheed now. But I hear you. I think, though, also Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts against the Lions and Rams down the end of last year's team because that offensive line was banged up. If the Seahawks stay the way they are right now with their offensive line, I don't think that Sam Darnold will look like that guy that we saw down the stretch there.
Yeah, maybe not. I would get a beer, Dom. But Dodgers maybe drink all of it on Saturday.
Cause you drink that much, huh?
Well, it was just 6 beers. It was a 6-pack of Howdy. You ever had Howdy beer?
No, I haven't.
Howdy beer, American lager.
I kind of like that. I like the sound of it, Steven, but how does it taste?
It tastes like America.
There you go.
I think we had this conversation. I've become more of a light beer guy now. I'm kind of done with like the IPAs, the hazies, the doubles. I'm just kind of back to lagers, pilsners.
Yeah, I have. I love Almanac's American Lager or whatever it's called. I'm with you on that. I used to be a stout and porter guy when I went to college, and I am totally off that now. And also IPAs. This is just science. They give you man boobs, so it's good to focus on the lighter beers.
So that explains it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
Where were we? Seahawks. Yeah,
just
good.
The Seahawks. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. There's no doubt.
No, they're really good. And real quick, I forgot to bring this up in relation to the 49ers. The Michael Williams injury. Do you think that the MetLife turf had a factor in that?
I think so. Yeah.
I understand that being a talking point because it was back in 2020 when Nick Bosa and who else? Solomon Thomas and other guys went down with injuries.
Raheem Mostert and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Was it Raheem Mostert?
Yeah. Yeah, he had a PCL sprain. Jimmy Garoppolo with a high ankle sprain.
And I definitely hear players say that turf sucks. It has improved since 2020, but even George Kittle was like, if that turf is the butt of jokes on social media, then why are we still having that? I don't think that's going to change things for the Maras just because players complain about it, but maybe it should. As far as did that cause the Michael Williams ACL tear, I don't want to say I believe that because I need scientific proof to back that up. I think that you saw a ton of ACL injuries over the weekend. You saw Tucker Kraft be out for the season, Marshawn Lattimore, and those guys weren't playing on bad turf. I wonder why we're getting so many knee injuries now in the NFL, but I can't say with certainty 100% that that's why Michael Williams tore his ACL.
Yeah.
You could go back to training camp and he had a hyperextended knee. And maybe it's just because he was playing through a minor knee injury that accumulated up to the point where his knee, buckled on that turf. Same thing with Tucker Kraft. He was dealing with a knee injury after that victory against the Commanders, and he was just playing through it. We all know that calf injuries could turn into Achilles tears. So I hear people. I understand why people would react that way, but I can't say myself why that happened. Now, as far as the other thing that went down, I bring this up because we talked about the Seahawks in relation to the Commanders. Uh, Great win by the Seahawks too, 38-14 over the Commanders. I think the Commanders are done right now with their injuries. They can't stop anybody defensively, and not to mention the Jaden Daniels injury. And I know everyone had to, react and say, like, why is Jaden Daniels in the game at that point on the goal line where he dislocated his elbow? And thank God it wasn't his throwing arm, because that would have been detrimental to his career going forward. But the same deal with, like, you can't say 100% that the turf injured Michael Williams. I know I love, like, everybody reacting on Twitter and RG3, like, posting a video of himself just being like, I can't believe he was in that game still. His career is just like mine.
Oh, he was talking.
Well, after a while.
That's good.
Because that initial video was just him just sitting there, yeah.
There was one where he just sat there and posted a video of him not saying a single thing.
Yeah, that was
thrilling.
riveting. I would say we don't know the whole situation. Like, Jaden Daniels had missed time.
Yeah.
And it's on Dan Quinn to be the dude to take him out of the game. But he played. And I'm not a guy that really focuses on, like, why an injury happened. It's just the fact of, okay, it did happen. You got to move forward. Now, how do you move forward with that player, without that player? I understand, like, they were down 38-7. They were on the goal line. It wasn't a design run. He ran himself. I'm not blaming Jaden Daniels by any means for getting injured. But had they scored on that play with Jaden Daniels, he's probably pulled after that. And I think that, he wants to keep playing in that game. So it's not an excuse, for Dan Quinn to be like, he wanted to play. It's big of him the next day to be like, that's on me 100%. But just the whole, like, pitchforks and, tiki torch mentality of, like, someone needs to, be held accountable for this because Jaden Daniels got injured. I'm like, calm down, everybody. It's football. His career's not over.
Tiki torches?
Yeah.
That's the most chill attack ever. It's normally just torches. It's not tiki torches. You're not at a Hawaiian barbecue.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You're not at a luau.
I guess you're right.
Bring your pitchforks and tiki torches. We're going to butcher a pig.
I was thinking of in The Animal when Norm Macdonald's like, hey, should we get some tiki torches here? Hey, shouldn't this guy get a fair trial? I mean, what are we doing here?
Don Peralta brings up an interesting point. 28% higher risk of knee injuries on turf versus natural grass. The NFLPA published that data, and then ESPN fights back saying that data is BS. And I think the NFL's merger with ESPN is only going to amplify that. That was just a little tidbit. Look, whether the turf caused Michael Williams' injury or not, I'm leaning towards that it did. I just am. I don't really have any proof to back that up. And the thing is, George Kittle's comments went viral, but you don't really hear anything with Trent Williams, who said in the locker room, I played here a lot and nothing ever happened to me. So exactly. I don't really put too much into it, but I do agree with Kittle's overall point. Whether the MetLife caused Williams' injury, I think that's secondary to the idea that I do think every NFL stadium, I know they're in different climates and it'd be hard to maintain. And I think that if they did end up streamlining this, then we'd find another thing to complain about how one stadium's surface isn't up to standard like the other surfaces out there. But I do think that every stadium, and I wish the NFL would spend money on this, I do wish that every stadium was on grass. I do. I get where Kittle's coming from. Like, grass everyone knows it's better, and players like playing on it more. So why not have that? And it's shown that it can decrease the risk of injury. At least that's what the NFLPA says, and I'm inclined to kind of agree with their data. Like, it's, players fighting against the establishment. And so I'm glad that Dom brought that up. That's a fascinating, like, turf versus grass debate that I was diving deep into during that one season. I think it was 2020. It was the season before. It was the 2022 season. Yeah, the 2022-2023 season, where I was, like, going deep into it. It's like, my God, this has been going back years. It's probably never going to happen. But I agree with Kittle's overall point. Where, I mean, I don't know why he's using using basketball as an analogy. It's like it's not the same thing. I mean, they're hard courts. It's like they're basketball all playing on the same court. Well, soccer stadiums all playing on that same grass. MetLife ended up changing their stadium once just so they could fit a soccer game with grass. Like, I think just the NFL needs to make it uniform. And I don't know. So I can agree with that point, but I can also see why you probably don't think that the MetLife's turf didn't cause Williams' injury, because it does go back to the earlier injury that he was dealing with before, which is what prompted Shanahan to say he needed the bye week more than anyone, which is saying something for this specific 49er team.
I hear you on that. And as far as Jaden Daniels, do you think that people were overreacting, or you think that there's a point to be made that why was he in the game?
Yeah, I think there's a point. Yeah, definitely. But I also think that's just for national TV talking points.
Exactly. I think it's just, obviously hindsight 2020, like no one says anything in the moment, but then when he's hurt, you're like, why was he in there in the first place? Because he wanted to be. And also because, I don't know, it's football sometimes. Guys want to play. I think coaches are more inclined to pull guys when you're up big as opposed to down big, because it's a point of pride. I think some guys are like, no, fuck that. I'm not coming out of this game because we're getting our ass kicked. I'm not doing that. Yeah. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised had Jaden Daniels just scored a touchdown on that drive that he would have come to the field or the sideline, and Dan Quinn's like, all right, let's give Marcus some time here. This makes no sense for you to be playing right now. And it was bad timing.
These are two different teams, but I think if Dan Quinn would respond in this fashion, he would. And we go to Lions defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard talking about Aiden Hutchinson playing in a high percentage of snaps despite coming off that injury from last season.
I want you to come down there and try to tell Hutch to leave the field. And I want you to see how those interactions take place. No, but seriously, I mean, we just gave him half the building, so he needs to play 95%.
So that's wow. For a defensive coordinator referring to his contract, we just gave him half the building, so he needs to play 95% of the snaps. That's honest as hell.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's incredible. That guy, I like that guy more than Aaron Glenn, because in the two press conferences I've heard of this guy, he is just no nonsense. Like, I'll give you the truth. And I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah. He's an Aaron Glenn disciple.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, as far as the Raiders.
Oh, God.
Going into the game, I read Mike Silver's article. He covered this game, and apparently Jacoby Myers already knew he was getting traded to the Jaguars, because he's talking to Tony Baselli and Liam Cohen before the game, and it was pretty clear to everybody involved this guy could be going to Jacksonville in a couple of days. Regardless, the game itself, see what happens when you have Brock Bowers. Like, it makes up for a pretty bad offensive line.
Sure.
So Brock Bowers comes back from injury, 12 catches for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I will say, my man, just go home. Just shave the dome. It's okay. You look like Mr. Clean out there. You'll be the bald tight end. Just go home. It would be a good looking look for him.
Just go full Jason Witten, man. Just go Brian Urlacher.
Well, those guys got hair later on.
Yeah, well, maybe get it later on, but just get rid of it now, because not a great look.
No self-respecting bald man gets a rug.
He looks like a golfer.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like he's hiding something under there. Like,
just constantly wearing a hat every single day so their hair doesn't grow.
I'm telling you, man, it's the most freeing thing. Yes, you get clowned on for being a bald guy, but you save a lot of money on haircuts. Anyway, Trevor Lawrence, I guess this was his flu game. He didn't feel good the night before, was throwing up all night, and kind of showed where he's just inconsistent, man. Like, we give a lot of crap to Kyler Murray, who, while watching Jacoby Brissett last night, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, and he's named the starter for right now because he's hurt, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Kyler Murray's traded next offseason. Regardless, you see, like, inconsistent play from like Kyler Murray, or I put Trevor Lawrence in the same ballpark where it's just not consistent enough. Like, he's now in an offense with a good play caller, and he's got the right pieces at times. Brian Thomas Jr. does drop a lot of passes, but that interception on the goal line, like, that was awful by Trevor Lawrence. In the end, their running game was good enough to keep them, match to match or step for step with the Raiders as far as offense. But dude, Geno Smith, one of his better games as Raiders quarterback, and it helps to have Brock Bowers. But still a bad interception that he threw in the second half of that game. And I will say, just missed opportunities where you are in the fourth quarter and it's 3rd and goal from the 6, and you don't capitalize on that to go up like that. I mean, like you go up in the end, you're up 9-6, but
Sure.
to get a touchdown there, you need to capitalize on that. And Max Crosby's a great player. Got a sack in this game. The defense has its moments, but it just always feels like when the Raiders take the lead, they're not going to get a stop. Much like the Cincinnati Bengals, it's much different because their defense is atrocious. But when you go up 23-20, just get a stop. End the game. How much time was left? It was like a minute and 16, and the Jaguars were able to go down the field to kick the field goal to tie it up, go to overtime. And I have no problem with Pete Carroll going for 2
Sure.
to win the game because there was 16 seconds left.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers wide open the back of the end zone, and then on that play, Tyler Lockett on the 2-point conversion is wide open, and Devon Hamilton just bats it down. It's a good play by him. I wish that Geno Smith had more mobility where he sees the guy going up in the air, and then he can move to the left a little bit or move to the right and then throw the wide open pass to Tyler Lockett. But he throws it simultaneously with the defender going up in the air. So it just sucks. I know it's an easy thing for Julian Edelman as a former Patriot on the Fox postgame show to be like, classic Pete, not running with his star running back on the goal line. Dude, he rushed for 42 yards. The running game has been non-existent. The passing game was working. Anybody that's criticizing the play, no, it was the right play. Just the Jaguars made a better defensive play. So it's frustrating. Raiders lose by 1 point, but I would say just kind of like the Chicago Bears loss, you saw a lot of promise, but in the end, it's just a disappointing end result.
It's just lacking discipline in key areas too. Like the 2 things that I see that are as repetitive as they've ever been for the Raiders: timely penalties when they shouldn't get them. You mentioned that field goal. They wouldn't have had to take the field goal had they had Alex Kappa, I don't think, committed a false start when they were just 1 yard away from the touchdown, which I think Ashton Genty would have ran in easily, which would have changed the entire complexion of the game. But also it's the missed tackles, and Pete Carroll mentioning how that's still a problem during his day after when he was able to watch the tape and go back and speak to the media. It's just like, yeah, way too many missed tackles. We got to clean that up. Like, it's just the same old story with this team, dude. And of course you had to go for it. Like, you do not want to play for the tie, especially when your season's lost, which sucks to say, but it is. I'm glad Brock Bowers is back. And I hear Mac Van's point with, where was it? Raiders started off the game running the ball well and then abandoned it. Like, what the fuck, Chip Kelly? I just don't think he has any faith in this offensive line. I really don't. I think he has a lot more faith in Geno just playing from the shotgun. It's just the thing that gets me about this offense is from week 1, that week against the Patriots, I thought this was going to be a downfield team. I thought we were going to be seeing a lot of explosive plays. I think their 9 explosive plays were the most in what was it, like any NFL game since some crazy year or something like that. Like, you could actually put that game into context, or maybe at least for like a Geno Smith led team or for a Raiders led team, something in that regard. But point being, it was a lot of explosive plays. And I thought that that's what it was going to be. But now we have regressed to the point where we're watching Geno Smith just play action boots, screens, just throws that are going to keep the ball out of harm's way. They're scared to go downfield. Like, even Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is awesome, but they were just getting him into the flat or getting him on these little crossing routes. It's just not a lot of big plays anymore. And I think that's what's really kind of just dejecting around this whole thing. Is it the answer to just run with Ashton all the time? I think it's more complex than just like, they went away from it. I think there's definitely games you could look back on where you're wondering, why the hell did they do that? Why the hell didn't they keep running with Genty at this stage? But this game against the Jaguars, I didn't feel like anything was really working. And then that penalty just really set them back. That one pissed me off. I was watching
Which
that
one?
That Alex Kappa, I think it was a false start,
yeah.
or it was a holding or whatever it was. That one pissed me off because it's like you're 1 yard away, you go back to your own 6-yard line, and you can only get a field goal out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lacking discipline, missed tackles, just playing it safe with Geno. Maybe they are situations where they should be running the ball with Genty, and they just aren't, relying on a 6th overall draft pick. That sucks. It sucked all the way around. And then the batted pass. I mean, Geno's got to be better than that, dude.
He does. I mean, that's a hard play to overcome. But yeah, like if he had more mobility, he could have saw that the defender was right in his face and just kind of move to the left a little bit and still see that Tyler Lockett's wide open. But I hear people on the running game. I don't think it was that effective to start, and it's hard to say. Like when you're looking at the film, like are they just loading the box to take away Genty and forcing Geno Smith to beat them? And with this offensive line, is it just easier to just throw quick passes to Brock Bowers because he could get wide open that quickly? Probably. And I hear you, Steven, but like as far as the offensive players they have, who's a great deep threat on this team? Just Trey Tucker when he gets open, but Dante Thornton has been inconsistent. Jack Besh has been non-existent. I don't think they have the offensive personnel to be a deep threat team.
Yeah. No, not anymore. I mean, it looked like they did at the beginning. That's the thing, is they looked like they did. And maybe Myers could have been that guy too. I think Myers had a little bit of deep threat ability too. But I think this is going to add more to the trade conversation because this is the thing that got me. But the fact that you're not playing Jack Besh any snaps, the fact that Dante Thornton's a healthy scratch just because he can't get any separation, you're not playing the 3rd round lineman. Like, how are you not doing that with the lack of talent that you have on this team?
Maybe it's just that bad in practice right now. And I hear you, but like that's a big deal if Dante Thornton can't get separation right now.
Sure. But I think it also goes to show that this team, man, there's just something off about it. And I don't know if it's a problem with development. I don't know if it's a problem with the player, but the fact that your 4th round pick is a healthy scratch and your 2nd round pick isn't getting any targets when you don't have any wide receivers, that's a problem.
It is, but really think about what you're saying, Steven. Like the fact that your 4th round pick is a healthy scratch. Well, it's a 4th round pick. Like Kyle Shanahan's hard on rookies. Yeah. I think the same thing can be said right now for Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. And I get it. I get the criticism with Chip Kelly sometimes because he really failed as an NFL coach and now is coming back as the highest paid offensive coordinator in football. And that, something I'm a little bothered by, but I don't think it's really him. I don't think it's Pete. I don't think it's Patrick Graham. I think it's the personnel right now. And if you're going to blame somebody in particular, I guess it would have to be John Spytek. But you're relying on a mix of older players and rookies, and you're just not seeing the best out of these rookies right now. Like Ashton Genty looks like a really good player. He needs better offensive line play. In order for Geno Smith to be more comfortable, he needs a better offensive line. He needs better receivers. So I'm not saying the coaching staff is perfect right now, but I do think it's a lot on just the players not performing right now.
And you asked about you asked about stacking the box with Ashton Genty. Well, they stacked the box 23% of the plays, and you can compare that to Travis Etienne, where the Raiders stacked the box on 45% of the plays. So you're kind of middle of the pack in that regard.
Yeah, but the Jaguars were able to keep pace with the Raiders by running the ball, and they weren't afraid of their defensive line. They knew that they can still get the best out of Travis Etienne by just going after that defensive line, where the Raiders have seen it multiple times this year where they go for a 4th and 1, hand it off to Ashton Genty, and some defensive tackle for the Bears is already in the backfield blowing them up. So yeah. I get it. I think that maybe they need to be a little more risky. Maybe they need to just let their players play at this point because what are they, 2-6 on the season? So I get it. But also I think a lot of, fans, reporters, we all question things, but we're not at practice. There must be a reason why they don't trust these guys right now. And
that sucks.
It does suck, especially when Jack Besh is drafted in the 2nd round. That one's inexcusable to me. The fact that he's not ready to play right now, like, you may have missed on some guys. I don't know. And then, I hate being that way with a rookie season because that's so quick. And like the way I was with you when you were saying Trey Wilson's a bust already, I'm like, just hold off. But the fact that these guys are not making an impact right away, and that's what you were banking on, like, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of the Raiders right now. I think they have a lot of talent as far as Brock Bowers and Genty and Max Crosby, obviously. But did they really draft good players? I don't know right now.
Don't know either. And not to
Yep.
mention Caleb Rogers, too. This offensive line seems to be the weakest group, and your rookie third-round pick is a healthy scratch. Anytime I think of a rookie third-round pick lineman, I think of Gabe Jackson. According to Von Miller, the stinkiest player that he's ever played against.
Stinky, huh?
Yeah, he said he smelled real bad. During a podcast.
Well, you know what? That's a little hypocritical because I think a lot of people have said that Von Miller is just passing gas all the time in team meetings because he eats healthy.
Well, it's not people saying that. It's him. It's him saying that.
Von Miller said that once upon a
Von
time.
Miller's one acknowledging that he farts all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so in the end, Jacoby Myers does get dealt after the Jacksonville game for two picks. I had it written down here. Was it a 4th and a 6? Yes.
It was a 4th and a 6th. Yeah.
A 4th and a 6 for Jacoby Myers. And the fact that you got 2 picks out of him, okay, I'll take that. I think it's a kind of an overpay for Jacksonville, but it sounds like there's a lot of interest from the Steelers and the Bills for Jacoby Myers. And they're in desperation mode right now because it sounds like Travis Hunter. It depends on who you look at report-wise, but Ian Rappaport's saying doesn't seem like it's a long-term issue with Travis Hunter and his knee issue. Other people are like, he's probably out for the year. So they did this out of necessity. They needed more wide receiver help because basically the Jaguars were just playing with Brian Thomas and Parker Washington receiver-wise. But I think it's a solid move for Jacksonville, and they have, intentions of making the postseason this year. They're in a good position to do that. But as far as the Raiders, like this is 2 years in a row now where your number one receiver gets dealt at the trade deadline. Last year, Devontae Adams. This year, Jacoby Myers. And it just limits your offense even more now. So, yeah, they get a 4th and a 6. And I'm surprised that the Raiders didn't ask, can we get, you want to throw us, or you want us to throw in a little clone of one of Tom Brady's dogs for the future to throw in the trade? Dude, what is that story?
It's crazy, isn't it?
So if you don't know what we're talking about, Tom Brady lost his dog in 2023, but he has a new dog. But it's the same dog. How, you ask? When the dog was dying, he had its blood duplicated, and he's working with this bioscience lab right now that is able to do this. So Tom Brady's able to clone his dog, and which makes me believe that we'll never see the end of Tom Brady. He's going to outlive us all because he's going to clone himself over and over and over again. When we think Tom Brady may pass away, no, we'll see a younger version of Tom Brady. It's very much like, do you remember that show on Netflix, Steven, with Paul Rudd, where he's a clone? He clones himself.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady makes a cameo in that to joke like, you know how I got 7 rings? By cloning myself. He walks out of a spa and makes a clone joke. Well, he's doing this in reality.
Oh, my God. Don't do that. Yeah, I'm scared. Would I absolutely clone my old dog Willie if I had the chance to? Yes. Damn right I would. But this has me getting all existential. What's this going to look like for humans? Humans were naturally meant to live and to die.
Yes.
We were not meant to clone ourselves into something different and turn this into Santa Claus 2. We don't need this happening.
The escape clause? Or
Is that a good? No, I'm talking about Santa Claus 2, where the clone.
I'm asking you, which one was the escape clause?
That was the third one?
Of course you would know that. You know the whole trilogy of Santa Claus, you weirdo.
What?
It's not even like a good trilogy. The first one's great. The other 2 were forgotten.
Yeah, the second one's ass. But there's one scene with Molly Shannon, which is all time.
All time?
Yes, it's all
Who
time.
remembers these movies?
It feels like it's Christmas.
Oh, dude, they're both forgettable. Come on.
Oh, shut up. So Tom Brady. Brady revealed that his current dog, Junie, is a clone of his late dog, Lua. The dogs were cloned by Colossal Biosciences, a biotech company that Brady's an investor in, using blood collected prior to Lua's death.
Yeah, this feels like a horror movie because you could clone your dog and then your dog's not your dog. It's some evil thing that attacks you. In the end, like, don't all these movies have the same message where set it free, man? Like, we all live and we die.
Yeah.
Get a new dog.
No,
I mean, I hate to be real like that, but
it's Jeff Goldblum, Jurassic Park. You were so preoccupied with thinking whether you could, you didn't stop to think of whether you should.
Exactly. Like with Tom Brady, finds a way to get a new dog. That's my best Jeff Goldblum impression.
Good Lord, Derek, that was terrible.
Yeah, I know. I need to work on that one.
The trade, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
stop it. They got a haul for him, like 4th and a 6th. I wasn't expecting 2 picks, but also with those Raiders inactives, I don't know about their ability to draft yet.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. So how am I supposed to take what it is? Like, as far as I'm concerned, this is less about the Raiders making a move and more about the Jaguars actually building something in their wide receiver room. Like the Raiders are an afterthought. They're just a seller. And that's what bothers me about this whole thing is they're just an organization that seems to be a breeding ground for players with potential who are just going to flourish with other teams. I won't be surprised if we're watching Jacoby Myers make a clutch catch in the playoffs because we always see this with ex-Raiders just making play out. Like I look to Danico Autry every single time, and that might not be the right example to use, but every time I see Danico Autry, I just think, man, that number 96 was something special in the silver and black. And you might see that again with Jacoby in Jacksonville. I think he might play pretty damn well, but I'm just tired of them being sellers. I'm tired of talking about what kind of return that they got for some player who they probably weren't going to pay anyway. I don't know, dude. I cared less about what they got for him and more just about the fact that they are in this position where they're having to trade away a player when Pete Carroll had sold me on the idea that this was not going to be the team that is rebuilding. It's going to be a team that's winning. Well, guess what, Pete? You're rebuilding.
Yeah. Chew on that piece of gum.
Nice. Did you see him throw it out, by the way, during that game? Like in overtime?
No, I didn't.
He tossed it. You could just see him take it out of his mouth and toss it. I was hoping it would hit someone in the face. It'd be a funny sight.
No, I'm with you, Steven, because I don't even know who the Raiders selected with the Devontae Adams pick they got to send to the Jets.
Who cares?
Exactly.
You know?
Like, you are right. It always is where the Raiders build up, these guys, they have talent, and then they go to another team and thrive. Like Danico Autry, perfect example. He gets a blocked field goal against the Broncos on Sunday. You're like, damn, once upon a time, that guy was a good player or had potential being a good player with the Raiders, and they moved on quickly. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. It's never where they're the team that's buying at the trade deadline. It's always they're selling for the future. It's always about the future. It's always, I feel like the Raiders have done the same thing that the Jets have done numerous times, and yet they can never capitalize on their rebuild. It's always, well, it was harder than we thought. John Spytek and Pete Carroll like, yeah, this team is not as good as we thought they're not as good as we thought they were, so we're going to have to redo the whole thing. And I don't feel that way. I think they have pieces. It's just should have been smarter in some aspects. Should have invested in the offensive line where you're going to draft Ashton Genty. Should have got off better wide receivers. Maybe, I don't know, is Jack Best really that good as a second-round pick? I don't know.
Right. They ended up getting a conditional third rounder that would have turned into a second rounder, but I think they kept that third round pick because they only had the 1 second rounder. And it turns out that those 2 third round picks that they got in the Devontae Adams trade were on the inactive list on Sunday.
Well, there you go. All right. Should do a little quick kicks before we get out of here, along with picking the game on Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
All righty. I'll go through these. God, it's been a long day. I'll go through these quickly because we've been on here long enough. So just a quick reaction, Steven, if you got it for some of these games. The Bills beat the Chiefs 28-21. Mahomes struggled. It's one of his worst regular season performances. I think he had a completion percentage of 40%. The Bills, the difference was they ran well with James Cook. And, Josh Allen was efficient. I think he was 23 of 26. Had a good connection with Dalton Kincaid, and they were able to run the QB sneak a couple times at the goal line and get those touchdowns. So, not to mention Joey Bosa just making, life hell for Patrick Mahomes in the backfield. So, it's the same thing. The Bills are always dominant against the Chiefs in the regular season, and it's a good win. If they would have lost this game, I would have totally criticized them for it. But the fact that they won this game, good. It definitely proves your future of potentially being the number 1 seed and hosting a playoff game against the Chiefs. But I like that even Josh Allen in the post game with Tracy Wolf was just like, it's another win. And he knows it too. They have to, for a guy that's as dominant as he is against a team in the regular season, 5-1, he is 0-4 against this team in the postseason. That's all that matters. Was it a great win? Yes. Does it matter? No. Show me in January that you could do this again.
6-0 in the regular season against the Chiefs is like that same. I think that was the record, right? 6-0, 5-1, whatever. But that feels like the same kind of statistic that shows for like, well, Matthew Stafford and Derek Carr have the most fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history. Well, yeah, because they were down going into the fourth quarter, and they've had a lot of opportunities to come back in a fourth quarter. Like, so it doesn't matter until you reach the playoffs, but we didn't factor that in when we were talking Bills Chiefs on Saturday. The old Joey Bosa factor.
Exactly.
Yeah, he gets to go against his old friend, not the guy who folds like a lawn chair, according to him talking about Derek Carr, if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so he wasn't talking about Mahomes in that situation, but a former division rival nonetheless.
Right. This was a shocker to me. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. It wasn't shocking. It was just disappointing. Packers lose to the Panthers 16-13. I'll get your thoughts first, Steven, and then I'll give mine.
Yeah, that's what they get for wearing those ugly ass helmets and
dude. See, I told you, man, the meat packers with the leather heads. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, the way that I don't want to make this comparison. I had this one in my head going into this, and maybe it's not the right one to make. But the same way we kind of view Caleb Williams, there's times with Jordan Love where you think, oh my God, there's flashes of a superstar. Yeah. And then there's ones that he crumbles like a crumble cake, which he did against the Panthers.
Is there such thing as a crumble cake?
Oh, there's crumble like an apple crumble.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Crumble cake, corn crumble cake. But anyway, Jordan Love was terrible. That was my main takeaway from this game.
Okay, I'll say this.
The worst pass I think I've ever seen.
Which one?
That's hyperbolic. The dropped interception in the end zone.
Okay, I'll get to that in a second. I'll praise the Panthers first and foremost. Do they have the best passing game in the world? Absolutely not. But did Bryce Young do enough to maneuver against the pass rush of the Packers? Yeah. And they were able to run the football. And I thought going in that maybe the Packers would have a hard time stopping Rico Dowdle, and they did. And the Packers are just so inconsistent where they have great wins to start the season against the Lions and Commanders, and then they play down to the Browns and the Cardinals and now the Carolina Panthers. But maybe the Panthers are better than we anticipated. I think just, they can never have good back-to-back wins. For how good they were a week ago against the Steelers, they looked that bad this game. And I'm not going to make excuses. They did lose Tucker Kraft, which kind of throws off their entire offense. He's so good. He's their George Kittle as a run blocker, as a pass blocker, and just probably their number one threat right now as far as a receiver. And my guy, Matthew Golden, got hurt in this game as well. So Jaden Reed got hurt earlier in the year too. So they're just thrown off offensively. Their offense is basically let's run with Josh Jacobs some more. And our receivers can't get a lot of separation besides Romeo Doubs. So let's just dink and dunk all the way by throwing screen passes to our running backs. And I know some people are going to crap all over Matt LaFleur with that game plan, but that's what they're giving him. Like the Panthers secondary was good in this game. And yeah, all Jordan Love could do was just dink and dunk. Jordan Love looked 10 times better against the Steelers, but that defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers had to, pass rush or had to blitz a lot in order to get Jordan Love down in that game. This is where the Panthers were just good and playing good pass coverage, and that offensive line couldn't contain them for the most part. As far as the fourth down call, I thought it was a worse play decision than throw. Because if you look at the play, everyone's covered, and Jordan Love's just running for his life at that point, and he's telling Romeo Doubs, go over there, go to the right, and he throws the ball up in the air. And yes, the end result was a terrible attempt, but I really don't blame that on Jordan Love. I blame that on Matt LaFleur for not really having a feel for the game. You're losing 13-6 at the time. And I know you're frustrated with your offense, but what makes you believe you could pick up a 4th and 8 on that play? Like, your offense was just dinking and dunking the whole time. You did a screen pass to Savion Williams, whoever the hell, on the left, and you lose 3 yards. What made you believe that you could pick up that 4th and 8? Because you picked up a 4th down earlier in the drive? Just take the points. I will say the interception he threw earlier in the game on the deep pass, that was horrendous because Romeo Dobbs was open over the middle. Instead, he goes deep to Christian Watson in a crowded area of just 3 defenders. So I'll say this. Is Jordan Love a good quarterback? Yes. Would I take him over Brock Purdy? Absolutely. I think he's more talented than Brock Purdy. Is he smarter than Brock Purdy? No, he's not. He does not make smart throws sometimes. So I think the Packers are banged up. I don't know if they're a true NFC contender. I have to give a lot of credit to the Panthers for winning this game, but they are just such an inconsistent football team that I still think they can win the division, but I'm not really buying them to beat the likes of the Eagles. And we'll get a good gauge of that this weekend when they play them on Monday night. But this loss had me thinking they're not as good as I thought they were.
Can we play the Romeo Dobbs audio now?
Yes. This
All
was just
All right.
weird.
Tucker Kraft, torn ACL.
He's not dead, by the way. He's not dead, everybody.
Season over. All right. Season over, but it's a torn ACL. All right. He's okay, and he'll be okay. This is Romeo Dobbs.
Wouldn't wish that, just on, one of our captains or even just your worst enemy. I don't wish that on any man. And, Tucker is in a better place. But again, you just gotta. Next question, please.
He was definitely floundering there.
He was on a train to nowhere at that point.
Yeah.
He's in a better place. He said, "All right, next question. I got to be done with this. This is out of pocket."
I think the PR guy of the Packers was like, "Dude, stop talking. He's not dead. He probably just went home. Just stop talking.
He's in a better place.
He's in a better place. Not in the Packers practice facility right now. He's doing rehab.
He is in the hospital.
Exactly.
Better than being on the field.
He's in a better place.
Yeah.
Thank God Romeo Dobbs is good at catching the football than he is at, talking to media scrums.
Listen, dude. Everyone wants a friend like that, right? Kind of a ride or die, but still funny that he used those words. And a cool backpack. Looked like he had a Michael Jordan, North Carolina backpack on.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings beat the Lions 27-24. Brian Flores, I just thought, had a great defensive game plan against the Lions, just pressuring Jared Goff's face. And he looked uncomfortable for most of that game. They played really good coverage against Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. They still put up some points, the Lions, but when you can throw Jared Goff off of his game, that's the key. And for how dominant the Lions have been against the Minnesota Vikings, they've been trying to beat this team for a long time now. So I thought it was a great game plan by Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. And good on J.J. McCarthy for his 2 lone wins as a NFL starter to be on the road against the Chicago Bears and against the Detroit Lions. I'm not going to put a lot of stock in this one. I think it's just a division rival beating you on the road at your home, and you've been dominant over them for years. So I'm not saying the Lions are in trouble by any means. I think that they just have a ton of injuries in their secondary, and that's what attributed to this loss. But I still think they're going to be, one of the best teams in the NFC.
Yeah, well, but also I think this is why the Vikings are kind of a scary team that you don't really want in the NFC playoff picture because Brian Flores can dial it up, man. And when he, like you mentioned with Jared Goff, like that's kind of the secret sauce, right? If you get pressure on Goff and kind of force him to beat you instead of just letting the Lions go within rhythm of their offense. Goff has shown that he can be good against pressure, but when you do throw him off his game, he can kind of turn back into a pumpkin. And Brian Flores has the ability to do that. So JJ McCarthy kept the ball out of harm's way. He only threw 1 pick, but I'd be more scared of that defensive coordinator if the Vikings reach the postseason. I do chalk it up to just another division game where the winner was just more prepared than the loser was. But the Vikings, I'm not saying that they're. I mentioned earlier they're probably not going to be part of the top 7 teams in the NFC at the end of the season. But if they are, I think that's one of the reasons to watch out, where they can maybe pull off a sneaky little upset in the wild card round.
That's possible. Yeah, they're a well-coached team, and they have, getting Andrew Van Ginkel back, I think, definitely changed things for them. We talked about it earlier with Daniel Jones having his struggles against the Steelers. They were the same old Colts to start that game, going forward on 4th and goal, I believe, and then Daniel Jones getting the QB sneak. But after that, just the defense of the Steelers finally showed up, and I guess Jalen Ramsey playing safety made a difference. But yeah, T.J. Watt getting strip sacks and fumble recoveries. I don't think the Steelers' offense did much in this game. It was just the defense putting them in good situations. So I agree with Aaron Rodgers after the game where he was like, we need to be better offensively. I think DK Metcalf finished with 2 catches for 6 yards. So it was really the Steelers' defense getting them a win. But I think they needed that for how good the offense has been and the defense now looking like their usual Steelers selves. I thought that was big for them to get this win against a pretty high-powered offense.
Yeah, and there's a thing going around with Daniel Jones, the way that he was looking at the Steelers defense when he was looking at the coverage and looking perplexed, kind of like that GIF. No, I've seen the same look before. Daniel Jones is back to being Daniel Jones. Actually, no, that's how he always looks at a defense.
Yeah.
It's just magnified because they lost.
Yeah, people are going to, get on him because he has 3 turnovers or whatever it was. I think it was more than 3 turnovers, but he had 3 interceptions and a couple of fumbles. So people are going to say automatically he's the old Daniel Jones. I think he's playing pretty well this season. It's just one bad performance.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears beat the Bengals 47-42. It was a really growing up moment for Caleb Williams and Colston Loveland for him to break away from that tackle and score the game-winning touchdown with only seconds remaining. But it's insane how bad the Bengals defense is. I think that maybe last year it was overblown a little bit, but it's just been so consistently bad where they put up these points. Like last week, I thought it was bad where they lose 39-38. And then this game, they come back and Joe Flacco is just playing so perfectly with this team. And how could you not, where they have the receivers they have, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but it's just met with just a horrible offense or horrible defense.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Flacco throws for 470 yards. He's doing the huck it, chuck it football that we love and, winning games for this team really, but it's just not enough defensively. So you have the 2 clips I sent you, Steven, with Chase Brown and Jamar Chase.
Hang on.
Let's just play the Chase Brown one, and maybe we'll play the Jamar Chase one. But you never want an offensive player calling out the defense for not doing their job, and I get the frustration. He didn't say anything directly, but you can definitely tell he's pissed off with the way the defense has been playing.
We just got to play complementary football. We put the ball in the end zone and go up a point at the end, finish the fucking game. Just end it. That's it. That's what we need to do. Just end the fucking game. Make them get us the ball back. Let us fucking go to 22 victory and let's end the game. That's how I feel. Any playmaker on this team, any position, we're all willing to do whatever it takes to win. We just gotta finish. I think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chase Brown had 37 yards rushing in this game.
Mm-hmm.
He's not been good this year. Feels like it's the wrong messenger for that sort of message.
I would agree with that. I think that if Joe Burrow says this, if T. Higgins says this, if Jamar Chase says this, if Joe Flacco says this, you understand it. But those guys wouldn't do that. Yes, I'm with you, Steven. That Chase Brown, he's just frustrated, but he's not the best running back in the world to be saying that in the first place.
It's a little much. You only scored a couple of touchdowns. There's 420 yards rushing on 109 carries. Dude, you don't have much room to talk about the defense finishing a game when you had 30 when the team scored more points than you had yards rushing.
Yeah.
You can't talk like that. I understand emotions are running high, but come on, dude.
I mean, the defense is historically bad. The fact that they pretty much lost them the game the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's the first time since there wasn't even an exact year on it. It was the first time since the 60s a team had back-to-back games scoring 38 points or more, and they lost.
I thought Jamar Chase handled it a lot better than Chase Brown by just saying, I don't even know how to respond to this. I don't even know how to react to this because I've never been in a situation like this. And then when someone asked directly, kind of baiting him into the question, how do you not tell a defensive player he's not doing his job? And he was like, I need to stay in my lane. I wouldn't I wouldn't appreciate if a defensive player told me I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And in a way, that's kind of him calling them out, but being a savvy vet and not directly saying that.
Right. And there's a right way to do that. I just don't think. I don't know. I have a feeling that he can't do that in front of the team. Just a little hunch.
Yeah, because I don't think that. I think Jamar Chase lets it be known in the locker room. Like afterwards, he walks to the locker room and you hear him say, like, just one fucking stop.
Yeah.
And you get the frustration. Like the 2000 Baltimore Ravens are known for their defense, but there were times where the defense will call out the offense, be like, we can't score a touchdown for 5 straight games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
they were in there right, though.
And I think the Bengals, it depends on the right person. Like I hear you. Chase Brown, you have the right to feel that way as a member of the offense, but who the hell are you, bro?
Yeah. Yeah.
Broncos win 18-15 over the Texans. They now have the nickname of the Heart Attack Horses because they come back in games. Like that? Heart Attack Horses?
No, I hate the Broncos, so no.
Fair enough. They score 11 in the fourth quarter. Not their biggest comeback by any means, but had C.J. Stroud been healthy for the majority of this game, I think that's a different story with Davis Mills just, giving them 5 field goals worth of offense. I still don't buy Bo Nix, but the defense is so good for the Broncos. R.J. Harvey coming to his own, kind of playing that Alvin Kamara type of back for Sean Payton's offense. There was a rumor today that they were in on trading for Jalen Waddle. And I was like, if they got him, that's a different story. That changes things. But they're resilient. They're able to come back a game. So good on the Broncos. They're 7-2. They came back and won this game. The Texans, great defensively. Just I think it was a different story if C.J. Stroud was healthy.
Yeah. Agreed.
We talked about the Seahawks earlier. Patriots and Falcons, missed PAT cost the Falcons in this game. I thought that they would have tied it up 24-24 and see what the outcome of the game would have been. Drake London is a better player than what he was in the past, catching 3 touchdown passes. Drake May was great in the first half, not so much the second half. There was a Michael Penix grounding penalty that pretty much cost them the game that, they were facing a 4th and 20 and had to punt the ball back to the Patriots, and the Falcons could get the stop. So good victory for the Patriots. Anything from this game, Steven?
To be honest, no.
All right, fair enough. Stop me if anything interests you. Rams rout the Saints 34-10. Just an easy victory over the Saints. Chargers survive over the Tennessee Titans, even though the Titans had a pick 6 and a punt return, I believe, back for a touchdown. They lose Joe Alt for the season, which sucks, but the Chargers made a deal with the Saints today to get an offensive tackle in Trevor Penning. So good victory for the Chargers. Good victory by the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett last night. I would say I can make the argument right now that the Niners have the worst defense in the NFC West. If I had to rank them, I would say Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers. The Cardinals defense was impressive last night. Just the Cowboys, they can't stop anybody defensively.
That's a take. I haven't even thought about that.
You disagree?
Not necessarily. I mean, not.
Yeah, they have some playmakers on defense. It's just the offense that's been bad.
Yeah, not with how the defense looks right now with the 49ers. I can't really anoint them among the top.
All right. Before we get out of here, Steven, let's pick the Thursday night football game. It's the Raiders on a short week playing the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are 8.5-point favorites, over under 42.5.
Let's lay the points with the Broncos and take the under.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
It's like,
I don't have a lot of faith right now. And
so bad, dude.
They're such a well-coached team. Like I said, I'm not buying Bo Nix, but yeah, I think that, I don't know, a better offensive line of a Raider team could probably go in there and maybe upset them, but no, the Broncos are, I don't know if they're legit, but the Broncos are a good team. They're that much better than the Raiders right now.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and that's going to be it for tonight, guys. We will see you on Saturday. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Rocka New Era. Thanks to Joy P. Thanks to the Skills Report. Thanks to Ernie One. Thanks to AJ Cruz, Otis Bird. I don't know if I saw a Pat H in here. Don't know if I saw a Tacky. I don't think so. I believe that's it for tonight, guys. I apologize if I missed anybody. All right, everybody, we'll see you on Saturday. Steven, say what you always say.
Well, I just got one more thing before I get out. There's a guy who threw a sandwich at a federal agent or an officer in Washington, D.C., and he's getting sued, and he's on trial. And before we get out, I'm just going to read the section of someone live tweeting from the trial. In government opening statement, this case is about the fact that you can't go around throwing stuff at people when you're mad. He did it. He threw on the sandwich. Goes on to argue that the throw was an exclamation mark at the end of a verbal outburst. The officer, sandwich guy, is charged with assaulting. Testifies that he could feel the impact of the sandwich through his ballistic vest, and it exploded all over my uniform. He says he could smell the onions and the mustard. That's just our opinion, man.